Sarah Ortega didn't believe in signs. But that morning, something tore the sky apart. She was pouring coffee when the windows shook with a low, unnatural growl. Birds scattered. The ground trembled. Then, a silver streak screamed across the dawn, trailing smoke and fire like a divine arrow, vanishing somewhere beyond the tree line behind her barn. Her dog, Jasper, barked once, low and uncertain, before hiding under the table. Sarah stepped outside, coffee forgotten. The air smelled off, like ozone and scorched metal. Meteorite, she murmured, shielding her eyes. But this wasn't a natural fall. It moved with intent. She slipped on her old hiking boots, grabbed her med pack out of habit, and whistled for Jasper. The dog refused to budge. Coward, she muttered. 15 minutes later, she stood in a clearing half a mile deep in the woods, the trees around her still crackling with residual heat. The crash site wasn't a crater, it was a wound. Trees snapped in unnatural patterns, bark peeled as if scorched by a directed blast. At the center, wreckage. It was small. Compact. Not a satellite. Not a drone. Sleek curves, organic design, faint hum. Her breath caught. Not Earth tech. She edged closer, senses alert. Something moved. A soft whimper. Sarah dropped to her knees, brushing aside a sheet of warped metal. Behind it lay a creature, curled tight, breathing in shallow, rapid bursts. For limbs, furred, clawed. Armor plates fused to flesh like bioexoskeleton. A long tail twitched once, weakly. And then it opened its eyes, huge, luminous, silver-pupiled. The moment their gazes met, Sarah's instincts screamed. Not danger. Innocence. Oh God, she whispered, reaching out slowly. Hey there, little one. It flinched, dragging itself back, leaving a smear of purple blood. Sarah's hands hovered over the med pack. She had to move fast. The thing was bleeding out. Broken ribs. Possible internal injury. The tech was fused to its body, removal would kill it. I won't hurt you, she said gently. I'm gonna help, okay? The cub didn't understand her words, but something in her voice made it pause. When her hands touched its side, it shivered but didn't pull away. She found the worst of the gashes and sprayed them with biofoam, working as fast as she dared. Its skin twitched under her touch like a horse's. 10 minutes later, she'd stabilized it. And now she had a new problem. Sarah looked back at the sky. The government would be here soon. Military, black ops, alphabet soup. Whatever this creature was, they wouldn't see a child. They'd see a threat. She exhaled sharply, scooped it into her arms, it weighed barely more than a toddler, and turned back toward the trail. The clinic behind her house was warm and quiet. She cleared a table, laid down soft towels, then the cub. Jasper sniffed the air from the doorway and whined. It's okay, she told him. Just a scared little one. She cleaned the remaining wounds, applied dermapatch gel, and whispered softly as she worked. The cub never made a sound, only watched her, eyes unblinking. Hours passed. Night fell. Sarah leaned back in the chair, exhaustion setting in. She reached for the thermos she'd left earlier. A soft noise, half growl, half sigh, made her turn. The cub was trying to sit up, trembling with effort. Hey, no, you need rest, she said quickly, stepping over. It looked at her, lips parting. And then, don't take me. She froze. Not just sounds. Words. Broken. Strained. But clear. Her voice caught in her throat. You speak English? It closed its eyes and sank back into the towels. Don't let them find. Who? Who's coming? Silence. She stared down at the child, because it was a child, no matter the claws or armor or fur. A kid who'd crashed alone, bleeding, terrified. And now he was in her hands. She felt it rise, something she hadn't felt in years. The need to protect. Sarah glanced at the comm terminal on her wall. The government channel already displayed a lockdown warning. Meteorite crash in the vicinity. Radiation possible. Stay indoors. She scoffed. Bull. Someone was coming. And they weren't interested in rescue. She moved the cub into the insulated pet recovery chamber, adjusted the temp to mimic a warm nest. He curled instinctively, pulling a scrap of blanket over his body. You'll be safe here, she whispered. But even as she said it, doubt gnawed at her gut. Because if this little one was speaking English, someone had been here before. And they wouldn't let that slip. Later, Sarah sat in her kitchen with the lights off, a rifle on the table, and Jasper curled at her feet. Through the window, above the hills, a faint shimmer in the sky betrayed an approaching ship, silent, invisible to normal sensors, but there if you knew what to look for. She sipped cold coffee and whispered to herself, whatever you are, you're not going back with them. From the shadows, a voice too young and too tired murmured, promise? Her heart twisted. She stood, walked back to the chamber, knelt beside it. I promise. The cub's tail flicked once. And for the first time since the crash, it slept without shaking. The cub was stronger by morning. Sarah entered the clinic with a bowl of warm broth and found him sitting upright, legs folded beneath him like a feline. He flinched at the door but didn't retreat. His eyes followed her, calculating, uncertain, no longer helpless. She knelt beside him. You hungry? He sniffed the air, then accepted the bowl with both hands. His claws trembled slightly, but he drank. What's your name? She asked. He paused. Designation. 3 Carl. She frowned. I'll call you Care for now. Easier on the tongue. Care blinked once, then nodded. A slow, deliberate motion, like he was testing the meaning of agreement. Outside, the news spun its usual veil. Radiation alert issued in Western Valley. Citizens urged to remain indoors while federal recovery teams assessed the area. Sarah muted the screen. She wasn't an idiot. The crash was classified already. Which meant visitors weren't far behind. She turned to Care, now drawing odd patterns in spilled broth with a claw. How'd you learn English? He looked up. Studied. Earth channels, intercepted long ago. Not allowed. Why? Care hesitated, then whispered, Earth is dangerous. Sarah laughed once, dry. You're not wrong. Later that afternoon, Sarah let him outside briefly, keeping to the tree line near the barn. The cub crouched in the grass, eyes wide at the sound of birdsong, the rustle of wind through wheat. A butterfly landed on his nose. He froze, then sneezed. She smiled. He was adapting fast. Jasper crept up beside him, growling low. Care growled back, a perfect mimicry, tail twitching with amusement. Jasper stopped, tilted his head, then gave a tentative lick to Care's cheek. From that moment on, they were a pair. Sarah watched from the porch. The scene was too pure, too alive, to be ignored. But her fingers tapped nervously on the railing. And then she saw it. High above, a ripple shimmered across the sky, like heat distortion but moving against the wind. Her blood went cold. That evening, as the cub slept curled under a wool blanket in the recovery chamber, Sarah locked every door and window. She turned off the lights, powered down her devices, even disabled the external cameras. Too late. A low hum trembled through the house. Not mechanical. Gravitational. Something had landed. She grabbed her old rifle, slid it into her hands like an old friend, and stepped out onto the porch. The night was silent. Then came the voice. Human. This is Commander Karth N. Zarek of the Galactic Accord. You are harboring restricted bioproperty. His voice was emotionless, synthetic, filtered through a projection that shimmered 10 feet in front of her. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Wearing armor that pulsed with energy veins. His eyes were dark voids, unreadable. Sarah stood firm. It's a child, not property. That designation is irrelevant. Its presence on your world violates 10 galactic containment protocols. Surrender it. No. A beat passed. You do not understand the implications. Oh, I understand. You're scared. Because if people saw what he really is, a scared, intelligent kid, they'd start asking why your laws treat life like liability. Karth's projection tilted his head. You are not authorized to negotiate. Sarah lowered her rifle slightly. You have a ship nearby, right? Hidden just above the atmosphere? You're watching. Listening. Probably analyzing every breath he takes. Yes. Then analyze this, she snapped. He's learning. Healing. And he trusts me. That alone should terrify you. Karth's voice dropped lower. You are interfering with a high-level recovery mission. You are not prepared for the consequences. Sarah took a step closer. You're wrong. I've seen war. I've watched kids bleed out in my arms. This is one I can save. The projection flickered. For a moment, his mask cracked, just a sliver. Something human behind the armor of logic. Then he said, you have 24 hours. After that, we take him. With or without your consent. The projection vanished. Sarah stood there for a long moment, staring at the empty space. Then she went back inside and locked the door again. That night, Care woke from a nightmare. Whimpers. Shivering. He clung to the blanket like it could protect him from memory. She sat beside him, stroking the soft fur between the armor ridges. Tell me, she said. Care's voice was hoarse. I was thrown away. By my kind. Said I was too curious. I didn't fight enough. You didn't want to be a weapon. He nodded. You're safe here. But they're coming. He looked up at her. You'll give me to them? She shook her head. Never. Care hesitated, then crawled into her lap. She froze, his body radiated warmth like a furnace, but she didn't move. Thank you. Mother. The word hit her like a blow. She didn't correct him. She just held him. Chapter 2 End, 998W. The ship descended before dawn. It didn't roar or flash across the sky. It simply appeared, silent and imposing, just beyond the ridge. A black triangle blotting out the stars, massive, cold, patient. Sarah had been waiting. She stood in the barn loft, rifle across her chest, eyes fixed on the treeline. Jasper paced at her feet, ears low. Beneath them, hidden under hay and thermal shielding, Care slept, his breathing shallow and steady. Her comm buzzed. Final warning, said Karth's voice. No preamble. Stand down. Release the asset. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. The accord didn't knock. The first warning came as a pulse, electric, invisible, meant to disable communications. Sarah had already disconnected her systems, powered down the grid, blocked EM signals with foil-lined walls. Useless. The second was physical. A low-frequency tremor that shook the barn's frame. Care stirred. She knelt beside him. They're here. His eyes opened slowly. I'm ready. No. You stay hidden. No matter what happens. I want to help. She touched his forehead. You already have. The first enforcer landed in the field like a thunderbolt. 8 feet tall. Gleaming alloy. Inhuman. Its helmet clicked and adjusted, scanning the barn. Sarah waited until it stepped through the open doors, then triggered the trap. Boom. A concussive flashbang detonated from the rafters. Blinding light. Screeching sound. The enforcer staggered. Sarah fired. The bullet pinged off armor, but it was a distraction. She launched a smoke grenade next, filling the barn with thick vapor, then bolted down the back stairs. Care! Go, now! He darted from the hay, sprinting to the tunnel beneath the goat pen, something Sarah had dug years ago during the worst wildfire season. It led to the ravine. He didn't look back. Outside, more figures descended, 3, then 5, then a full squad. Silent. Tactical. Sarah dropped behind a haystack and pulled her sidearm. One moved toward her. She fired at its legs, useless. They advanced like machines. She ducked as a pulse blast scorched the air above her. Then another. Jasper charged out of nowhere, barking furiously, drawing 2 of them off. Sarah sprinted toward the tunnel entrance. Come on, come on. She slid into the opening just as another pulse seared the ground behind her. The heat singed her coat, but she didn't stop. The ravine was half a mile of dense brush and broken terrain. Care was already near the treeline, moving fast on all fours. She caught up to him as they ducked beneath a fallen log. They won't stop, he said, panting. No, she agreed. So we don't stop either. But before they could move again, a low hum stopped her cold. The tall grass ahead shimmered, Karth's projection stepped into view. This time, he wasn't alone. A real body stood behind him, stepping out of thin air. Commander Karth himself, in the flesh. Enough, he said. This ends now. Sarah raised her gun. I told you, he's not yours. You are mistaken. He's not yours either. Care stepped between them. I choose her. Karth stared, unmoving. You're scared, Care continued. Not of me. Of what I feel. You trained us to suppress. But humans, they don't. They feel everything. And still survive. Karth's jaw clenched. That is not our way. Care turned. Then your way is broken. The silence that followed was razor-sharp. Finally, Karth said, you bonded with her. Yes. Then you're compromised. No, Care said. I'm complete. Sarah moved in front of him, shielding him. You kill him, you'll make a martyr. You let him go, maybe you learn something. Karth looked at them both, as if weighing a cost he wasn't ready to admit. Then, without a word, he tapped his gauntlet. A pulse of light surged upward. Sarah braced, but no shot came. Karth said quietly, I'm marking him as deceased. Officially. She blinked. You're letting him go? No. I'm giving him a choice. Care stepped forward, tentative. What's the price? You live as a shadow, Karth said. You stay off the grid. No transmissions. No influence. You become Earth's ghost. Care looked at Sarah. Will you still keep me? She didn't hesitate. Always. By sunrise, the ship was gone. So was Karth. Sarah stood on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the clouds drift where stars had burned hours ago. Behind her, Care tossed a stick for Jasper, laughter ringing out for the first time. For now, they were safe. And for the first time in a long, long while, so was her heart. 2 months passed. Care learned how to tie shoelaces, crack an egg without crushing it, and laugh without looking over his shoulder. He still flinched at loud sounds, still preferred sleeping curled beneath Sarah's old army jacket, but his eyes no longer scanned for danger, they searched for wonder. He'd built a nest in the loft above the clinic using blankets, books, and pieces of scrapwood he insisted were architectural. Jasper often slept there too, snoring beside him like a furry bodyguard. Sarah pretended things were normal. She did the chores. Brushed horses. Filed invoices. Took calls from clients whose cows had fevers or dogs swallowed socks. But when night fell and Care's laughter echoed through the fields, she'd pause, grateful. And afraid. Because peace never lasts when it's borrowed. It started with a static pulse in the air. Not a sound, just pressure. Care was the first to feel it. He dropped his paintbrush mid-stroke, ears twitching. They're near. Sarah froze. The Accord? No. Not them. He frowned. Something else. She checked the scanner hidden beneath the clinic floorboards. It blinked once. Then twice. Then shut down completely. Jasper growled low and sharp. A second later, the wind stopped. A ship appeared over the orchard, cloaked in a haze of gold shimmer. It didn't descend, it hovered, silent, predatory. Sarah didn't recognize the markings. This was an Accord. 3 figures beamed down, long and lean, their armor black with red traces, mercenary style, not military. Their helmets clicked as they scanned the terrain. Care hissed and stepped back, claws out. Hunters. Sarah reached for the rifle. Who sent them? They follow bounties. Not laws. One of them spoke, filtered through a harsh mechanical translator. Unregistered biological specimen, 40,000 credits. Turn him over. No resistance. Sarah stepped forward, rifle steady. You're not touching him. The lead merc shook his head. Wrong answer. The first shot grazed her shoulder. She rolled behind the water trough, fired twice, missed. Care bolted toward the barn. 2 of them gave chase. Sarah's blood roared in her ears. She ducked a blast, dove for cover, and screamed, Care. Hide. But Care didn't hide. He charged. The blast didn't come from their rifles, it came from him. A wave of psychic force rippled outward, hurling 2 mercs against the fence like ragdolls. Boards splintered. Animals scattered. Jasper barked wildly, circling one of the fallen. The lead merc regained balance, weapon raised. Care stood in front of Sarah, arms out, eyes glowing like molten silver. You don't belong here, Care said. The merc aimed. Sarah fired. This time, she didn't miss. The merc dropped, twitching. Care collapsed too. Later, in the clinic, Sarah stitched her shoulder in silence. Care lay in the recovery bed, pale but breathing. His energy had drained fast, faster than either of them expected. You can't do that again, she said, voice hoarse. He looked at her with tired eyes. I had to. You didn't. You're not a weapon. He blinked. Then what am I? She paused, then knelt beside him. Your family. And that's all that matters. Care tilted his head. That means I stay? Damn right. 2 days later, an unmarked shuttle landed quietly on the far ridge. No show of force. Just one figure, a woman in civilian clothes, eyes sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses. She introduced herself as Anya Halden, Galactic Accord Ethics Liaison. I heard what happened, she said, sitting at Sarah's table. Your bounty hunters nearly killed us. They weren't ours. Convenient. Anya sipped the offered tea. Care is technically deceased. No records exist anymore. But if his abilities grow, others will notice. Sarah crossed her arms. So what? You want to take him now? No, Anya said. I want to offer protection. Sarah scoffed. Another leash? Anya leaned forward. A choice. I can help you disappear, new credentials, new location. A farm in the Andes. A house on the dark side of the moon. Anywhere. Sarah looked to Care, who sat quietly by the window, sketching with charcoal. We're not running, Sarah said finally. Then you'll need allies. Real ones. Care's sketches grew more complex. He began drawing not just what he saw, but what he remembered, gray corridors, sterile labs, faces behind glass. Sarah kept them all in a box labeled truth. Someday, she thought, they'd matter. For now, they planted tomatoes. Repaired fencing. Read books about stars. Every so often, Jasper would bark at nothing, and Sarah would feel the back of her neck prickle. But Care would just smile, tilt his head to the wind, and whisper, "Not today." A month later, a letter arrived in a package. No sender listed. Inside was a worn journal, pages filled with field notes, coordinates, names. Human names. Accord names. On the last page, "For the ones who feel too much, don't stop. The galaxy needs you." Care touched the page. "Others like me?" Sarah nodded. "Looks like it." He looked up. "Do we help them?" She took his hand. "We start small. We start here. But yes, we help." And in the quiet night, beneath a sky full of watching stars, Earth's newest family held the line, not with guns or laws, but with something far rarer. Unshakable love in a galaxy that feared it.